Hey guys, welcome back to YouTube Mommy Meetup. We're here in another hangout. I am Dana, Miss Diaper D, and I am here with Diana from Being Mommy with Style. You want to say hi?
Hey everyone!
And also Amy from Dream Flight 6000.
Hey everybody.
And tonight we have two guests with us, and first we'll start with Carla. And Carla, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and your channel on YouTube?
Hi everybody, my name is Carla, and for the past 5.5 years I've been theBubblelush on YouTube.
Okay, and we have Stacy with us. Stacy, you want to introduce yourself now?
Hi, my name is Stacy, and I just started on YouTube. My channel is called This Lovely Life, so yeah, I'm happy to be here.
How long have you been now? I think just a couple months, right? How many videos you got on your channel now, Stacy?
I've actually this will be my 4th week, so
okay,
yeah, I just started.
Did you have a blog before, or you just kind of hopped into YouTube?
I just hopped into YouTube because I had so much video that I was like, I need to put it somewhere because he's my first baby. I have one baby, and so he's my first, and I was like, I need something to kind of make me responsible to put something up on there. So
were you watching for a while?
Did you say 4 weeks?
4 weeks.
Oh my gosh!
Yes.
In 4 weeks, I didn't even know what subscribe hardly was. You're doing great. Wow.
Yeah, I've actually got introduced to vlogs probably about a year ago when I first got pregnant, and I started watching like Daily Bumps and Shay Tards and all of them. So that kind of like inspired me to kind of just watch them, and then I was like, okay, after a year, I want to try to do this myself. So
awesome! I love how so many viewers turn into vloggers. I just think that's so fun. And then I know Carla's been doing it for a long time now, but tonight we're going to talk about infertility, or how lack of infertility sort of impacts mothering. And we're just sort of going to share our stories as far as TTCing. And one of the reasons is because Stacy does have that on her channel, that she did struggle with infertility, if I'm getting that right. And then Carla, I don't know if you began YouTube with your TTC journey. Is that true or no?
I did. I started vlogging right before I got my diagnosis.
Okay. Good. So it was kind of, I thought it'd be a good topic for all of us here to sort of discuss. And I did personally also struggle with infertility. I had secondary infertility, and so that means that the second time around is when I was diagnosed and had difficulty. So what we'll do first is just kind of go through and sort of explain, I guess, first of all, did we have any infertility issues or not? Sort of a good place to start. And so we'll just start with that, and I guess let's start with you tonight, Amy. You want to just go ahead and quickly share that, and then
we did not struggle.
Okay. And how about you? We'll go to, I guess, Stacy. You want to answer that next? Your
okay,
sort of story.
Yeah, so just real quick, I was diagnosed with PCOS a year after we had gotten married, so when I was 25, and I'm 34 now. So we tried for about almost 7 years for a baby. So yeah, we did definitely struggle.
So you tried 7, and now you did get your, right? You have a son, right? Is that correct?
Yes, he's 4 months old. So yeah, he's our little miracle.
Did you find this community through others TTC, like through PCOS, like that on YouTube?
Did I find that's?
Did you find people, like, were you watching? Is that what brought you kind of to here?
Exactly. I was just looking up, because when I got pregnant, that's when I started looking up the other girls, because I started getting really worried, because with PCOS I had already had a miscarriage 2 years prior, and so I just kind of needed that support, and so that's why I started looking at YouTube, just so I felt like I wasn't alone, because I know there's a lot of women out there, but there's not really talked about too much. At least I didn't know very many people that had infertility issues, and so I felt like I was alone, so YouTube kind of saved me there.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah. And how about you, Carla? Do you want to just briefly share that? How obviously you did, so you told me.
Yeah, so I started YouTube. I actually I found some like pregnancy and TTC vloggers way back when the community was very, very small. And I vlogged my entire trying to conceive journey with Hannah, which was 15 months. And then I vlogged it again with William, and he was actually conceived naturally after we were told that we were going to have to do IVF. We took a break, and we went on vacation, and I'm that person. Like when you hear that story about just going on vacation and you don't get pregnant, that happened to me. So
oh my gosh, yeah.
So I definitely have I have PCOS. That's my diagnosis, and yeah.
Okay. And then Diana, how about you?
Well, for me, I started out when we first were thinking about having kids, I thought that I was going to have issues. I was one of those type of people. I have these crazy wild cycles that are unchartable, and so I just thought that that was going to give us issues. It actually ended up that I got pregnant within a few months, and then with my second child, surprise, came pregnant with her, so I've actually gone the opposite direction at this point. So that's where I thought I was going to have problems, and that ended up happening quite quickly. So.
Yeah, I also had PCOS, and I really thought that I would have problems the first time around, and then we didn't. We conceived in like 3 months, and I was really surprised. And then the second time we went to try, and nothing for 2 years. It was nothing, and we were really trying. So then we went, and we ended up having to go through every single treatment, all of them, every single one. So in the end, we had IVF, and we did conceive the boys. And then now I'm pregnant again, and expecting like today, and this time was, again, we conceived naturally, and it was really a big surprise. And I did have like a lot of feelings about that after going through all of the infertility struggles and all of the different treatments. It was I was actually pretty angry about it for a while when we conceived naturally this time, just because it seemed like unfair. And I don't know if, Carla, you had some of those feelings too. The second, I mean, of course I was happy, and I was really, like feeling so blessed, but I also was kind of like, why did we go through all those struggles before? And it was really kind of a mixed emotion for me, where like I was really happy, but I also was sort of angry about it in a way. So I kind of have been through all that. How about you, Carla? How'd you feel with that second time, with it being like natural?
It's extremely complex, I think, how you feel when you get pregnant naturally after you've tried so hard, because especially with the second time, I mean, we didn't go as far as IVF, but we did injectables, and I set the record for our clinic of the most days stemming and nothing. And we spent thousands and thousands of dollars and nothing. And we were basically left with no hope of just doing IVF. And then we got pregnant naturally, and I didn't even know until we were almost 6 weeks along. So it was kind of, you felt like I didn't understand kind of what the journey was. Like with Hannah, I understood the journey. It kind of made sense, and I was always working towards it. And with William, it just felt like this amazing blessing dropped in my lap, and I kind of was always waiting during his pregnancy for the other shoe to drop. Like it was just too easy to get pregnant with him almost. And so it took me a long time to like really enjoy the pregnancy, because I felt too easy. Like there was something was going to happen, and I'm usually not a pessimistic person, and so it was a weird kind of emotions I went through.
Yeah, I'd have to agree completely with that. That's how I felt too. Like it took me a while, but I was just like, how about, I know with you, Amy, like you didn't struggle, but were you surprised that you didn't struggle, or did you just take that for, it's just what you expected, everything was good?
Well, I was watching YouTube, and the majority of women that I was subscribed to were struggling. Like the majority of them, and they've all had babies except, I think they've all had babies now, or two babies, which is crazy. So I knew that's common, or I don't know how common it is, but I don't know. It was on my mind.
Yeah.
And we're natural family planners too, and we never got pregnant. And people, the way I grew, in college or whatever, they say, that doesn't work, natural family planning. So I thought, I don't know, we never got pregnant, so, but yeah, it was okay.
Mm-hmm. And Stacy, how about you? It took you a long time, so I can't imagine that emotion over the 7 years you said. But were you surprised in the beginning, or how were you feeling about that? That you had trouble. You were young.
I actually found out. Well, I'll start at the beginning. When I was younger, I don't know, for some reason, when I was born, I had hip dysplasia. So I had surgery, and so they did a lot of x-rays. And my mom, when I was older, teased me. She's like, they fried all your eggs. I don't know why she had said that, but for some reason that planted it into my mind that something, I think 12 years old is when I had a heart to adopt. So it's like I never even saw myself as ever getting pregnant. So when I got the diagnosis at 24, it wasn't like it was a hard hit, because I almost felt like I knew it already. I know that sounds weird, but that's like how I kind of knew it. But then when I actually got started having a cycle, because I wasn't even having cycles at all, like nothing. I went like almost a year or two without having any cycle at all, which most women are like, oh, that's awesome. But for me, it wasn't, because my hormones were out of whack. So when I finally actually got pregnant, it was kind of a surprise, but kind of not, because I actually started tracking and seeing things change. Because I did go to infertility clinic, and they pretty much were like, okay, I don't know, like we tried the artificial insemination, it didn't work. I had 3 eggs that there should have been no issue. So he didn't know what was going on, so he thought there was something wrong with the eggs, so he wanted to do IVF. But that was just, for us at the time, it was just not in the cards for us. We could not afford it. And at the same time, like I said, I was wanting to do adoption, so I was like, okay, I could spend the money with, for IVF, and he gave me a 20% chance of success, or spend that same amount of money and adopt and have definite, you know what I'm saying? And so we walked away, and it was literally a year later, it was when we went away for our anniversary, and everyone had told me, oh, just relax and don't think about it. Well, of course, that's what happened. So
no way, really? Oh, wow.
So,
well, I'm sure over that journey you probably made a lot of friends within that community. And how was that telling them? That's the next thing I kind of wanted to ask, like having to tell your friends that you were then pregnant after that. So Stacy, did you have other friends that were also struggling with infertility, and then to have to tell them, hey, I conceived naturally, and how'd that go?
Yeah, well, I was obviously on the other end of that, when I had a couple of friends who were having issues getting pregnant, had miscarriages, and so I've actually had that email before I had like 3 or 4 girlfriends who they found out that they were pregnant, and so they would send me an email before they announced it to everybody. That way they were like giving me a soft blow, which I really appreciated. So by the time I had gotten pregnant, all my friends who had been trying to conceive were I already had children. So it was a little easier for me because I was like the last, which made it hard on me because I was the last. I'm like, come on. But yeah, so for me, it was, everyone was just waiting for me to make that announcement. So I didn't have to do anything really too, sensitive.
Yeah. Carla, how did you feel about that? Because you were really into the YouTube community too, the TTCing and infertility. Was that hard for you that second time to be announcing it, or no?
I think the first time was a lot harder because there was more of us that there were more girls that were still waiting to get pregnant, and so I wasn't anticipating any backlash, and there was some. And then the second time, I think that everyone was just shocked because it came out of nowhere. So it was interesting telling people, because there's, again, with Hannah and William, there were just 2 completely different responses to the news. So interesting.
Yeah, first time was harder than that second time. Yeah.
I never struggled, but being friends with so many that do and did, that was always, every time I got pregnant, I thought, oh, I wish I didn't have to. And you just don't want to announce it, but you want to, but you don't know how to say it, and I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to think that something that you're so happy about is going to potentially cause other people and people that you care about pain.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it really hard to tell people just because you want to be sensitive to them, because you want them to be sensitive to you, kind of thing, So it's hard because you're so excited and you just don't want to hurt anybody by telling them this.
Hard when you're watching, back when Carla and I, we used to watch a lot of these women that you and I watched now have babies, but they would show, every week, every month their pregnancy test, negative, 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 and you just would feel, oh, I'm, feel sitting here so lucky, and you feel so bad, but I'm so thankful that a lot of these girls have babies in their arms.
Absolutely.
Did you have anyone, Diana, that you had to tell that was trying to conceive and was having trouble, that was hard for you to say, hey, I got pregnant right away, or how'd that work out?
I had a couple close friends that I knew, two separate issues, but they were having different sets of issues, and I did the kind of, sent them a message on the side type of thing, which I'm glad I did now, because I guess if that was a little bit, I just, it is, you don't want, and they were happy for me, but at the same time, that, it kind of breaks their heart a little bit too, so it makes you feel bad for that. So I just tried to be as delicate as I could, for sure.
Stacy, with having a miscarriage, after struggling for all those years, I mean, were you just the whole pregnancy of when you had your child, were you afraid of another miscarriage, or was there a point where you were like, okay, this is okay?
No, we didn't tell anybody. Well, we told my parents a little bit after I had found out I was pregnant, but I was like, but you can't tell anybody because I was just wanting to make it to that 12-week mark, that that hump that they always say. But even after 12 weeks, even when my doctor was like, enjoy it, like I was still like, I had to battle my mind because I was constantly worried. I ended up getting one of those little monitors where you could hear the heartbeat, and that because otherwise my brain would just keep going and I would just get myself worked up, and I'm like, I need to be less stressed, so I need to be able to hear them. And so, but yeah, even all the way to even at 30 weeks, I was still nervous. I think because I had watched that Daily Bumps, and Missy had lost her baby, I think at like 25 weeks. So of course I'm like, oh no, and I kept watching this stupid stuff on TV and reading too much, so that like I was like, I got to put the books down, put the internet down, and not look at anything. But yeah, I didn't believe it until he was here.
Here's a comment from Jen Zoe. She's in Australia having lunch. Wow. She said she hasn't struggled with infertility, but thanks for sharing your stories. It's nice to hear the other side and understand what goes on. Becoming a mother can be just as hard as being one. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that someone in Australia can join us. That's awesome.
Yeah, I also sort of had a lot of fears too after going through the whole infertility with, getting through that period of the pregnancy. I don't know whether that made me more high-strung or not. I don't know. When you don't struggle, I don't know if you still have the same kind of feelings, but I just was sort of like really, really cautious, and I couldn't watch the news or anything because I didn't want to get upset. So it was definitely something that I found. Did you see that to be true, Carla? Do you think you were more worried during your pregnancy than you would have been if you hadn't had some struggles, or the same?
I think that I was more worried because I was so deep into the YouTube community that there was no ignorance about what could happen. Like, you just hear so many struggles and so many stories of loss, and you just know how amazing and how big of a miracle it is when you have a baby that's born, full term, perfectly healthy. Like, that's miraculous, because there's so many things that could go wrong. So I don't think that I was necessarily careful because of infertility, but more so just because I was of this community and everybody sharing their stories and struggles.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's like, because of that recent story and one mother lost her life, I'm very concerned about birth. That's the thing about being part of this community. It's wonderful. You can have so much access to so many different women and different stories and experiences, but then you're also hearing all those different stories and experiences, and so on the one side, it's good that we have exposure to that knowledge, but it also kind of can make you more aware, which makes you a little even more worried than we already are as mothers. And so, you have to rely even more heavy on your faith, or, however you get through these things. But that's how I'm like worried about that now, because I've heard a lot of those stories. But yeah.
That's honestly one of the biggest reasons why I may not have a third. It's just that feeling of you can only have it like easy so many times. You know what I mean? Like, and we did have issues with Natalie at the end, but it's like,
Yeah.
You know, I just want to be thankful for what I have, you know, and yeah, that story definitely stuck with a lot of people, I think.
But I wish I had known about this whole community before, because when I was going through my entire infertility, I wasn't on YouTube. I didn't get on YouTube until I was pregnant with my twins.
Where were
That's
you?
when I started watching. I didn't even know it existed. I had no idea it existed. And then I started watching cloth diaper videos, and while I was pregnant, laying in bed in the middle of the night with heartburn. And I was like, wow, oh my gosh, all these women. But I didn't even tell anyone except for my mom that I was going through the treatment. So no one in my life knew,
so not
nobody.
Even a close friend
Because it was just too painful for me, and I didn't want to talk about it with anyone because it just made me want to cry, and I just didn't want to share it. So we didn't tell anybody. Even after they were born, I never really wanted to talk about it because it just was really, really painful, the whole process. And now, looking back, I wish I had at least known about this community, because then I feel like I would have had more access to so many other women going through the same thing.
Or do you wish you would have shared it with more people?
I don't know. I mean, certain people. I have very I think unless you go through it and you're going through it, it's hard to talk to others who don't understand it really.
Right.
That's where I was at, where nobody in my personal life really that I know of had ever been through it. But sometimes you find out that people are going through it, and so are you, and that you could both be going through it at the same time, and you never discuss it. That happens too, where neither one of you bring it up, even though people may have gone through it. But I just felt that I wasn't sure they'd have this understanding, and I didn't want to hear comments that would sort of set me off that they weren't trying to not be compassionate probably, but things might be said that would make me feel upset. And just like the comment, we all know when we go through it, just relax, it'll happen. We all hear that comment, which is really hard to hear when you're going through the treatments. And then of course it does happen, as it happened to the three of us here eventually, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen for everyone. It just isn't. So it's very frustrating to hear that. And
so do those people come back and say, see, did you relax? Do people say stuff like that?
That's a good question, yeah. Nobody knew about mine in my personal life, so nobody said that. But how about
Carla
you? Carla's shaking her head, so yeah.
You must have relaxed. Oh, that would drive me nuts.
If they hadn't gone through infertility, and they didn't have an understanding for just how kind of hurtful that is and how dismissive it is to tell someone just relax, go on vacation, and it'll happen. I'm convinced that it only happened for me when I went on vacation, because I had so much fertility medicine still in my bloodstream. My dosages were so high. That has to be why. There's just no other way. Mm-hmm. But yeah, people can mean to just be so supportive and so see, it was all going to work out and it was all a big plan and stuff. And sometimes those comments can actually hurt the worst when someone's trying to be helpful. So it's hard. You have to grow a thick skin and learn to cut people slack, because it's true, unless you've gone through it, or unless you know that you're being kind of ignorant to the situation, it's really easy to just open your mouth and insert your foot. It's just easy.
That's me in pretty much all situations. I definitely never mean to be hurtful or out there, but I always end up foot in mouth all times. That is me. So
I think it's everybody's desire who loves you to want to fix it. That's what I always think. Everybody wants to fix it for you, so that's why they make those comments, because they just want to do anything they can to fix it, and they just can't. So I'm saying less is the best thing to do, but they mean well.
I got told all the time to go drinking, and I'm like, what? That's the worst advice ever. Right.
Just pick up a drinking habit, and then you'll get pregnant.
Right.
Being those of you that have gone through having struggles, what is a good thing to say? What would be helpful? What is it?
I think for me, I think the best way, it's not so much something to say, but I think what I would like to be able to let everybody know that doesn't struggle with it is that for me, we tried for, like I said, almost 7 years, about six years or so. And basically every month or every time I would have my monthly was a day of grieving, like deep grieving, as though the only way I could even compare it was when my grandmother had passed away. It was the same grieving. And so if you can understand that kind of pain that happens every single month, then I wouldn't know what to say to that person, but at least you can, that's the only way I can explain it, is that it's just, we go through this grieving process every month. And for me, it was like every month for 6 years. And so like, that's what I would like to get out there, is that we're deeply grieving, not just me, but
so really
my
there
husband
isn't
too.
really anything good. I mean, nothing really to say. Just a big old hug.
Yeah.
Just
Basically, yeah.
yeah.
Lots of, what helped us for sure is lots of prayer. Of course, everyone's like, well, can I pray for you? I was like, well, I tried it, but yes, please go for it. So I think for me personally, just knowing that there was just so much prayer, especially from the grandmothers, my mom and his mom, I think they prayed like 3 times a day. But yeah.
Yeah, I think
Was
that's
it
like
first
what I would
grandbaby?
say. Yeah.
Just to have people let you know that they're thinking about you, just kind of basically thinking about you, or is that not even good to say?
No,
I
for
think
me,
so.
that was good. Yeah, because just to know that, I had friends who weren't even, prayers or anything, and they're like, I'm sending good vibes to you. That helps. Instead of, oh, just relax, or oh, go on vacation, or oh, did you try infertility?
As far as YouTube goes, as far as like commenting and stuff, I'd always say, I'm thinking about you, and sending lots of baby dust is something that I would say often. But is it
Yeah.
okay to say, I'm so sorry that you're going through this? Is that okay to say? Like, I'm so sorry that you're going through this. Is that good or bad?
Carla, what do you think?
I think so. It's devastating when you're going through infertility, because if you're trying to conceive, you probably want nothing more than to have a family, and every month, like she was saying, when you find out that it's not going to happen for you, and it's devastating. And so when someone like acknowledges your pain, that's always helpful. When someone is willing to just acknowledge your pain and not
Not try
offer
to fix it. Not try to
Right.
tell you how to fix it.
Yeah, because honestly, if you're going through infertility and you're on YouTube and you're vlogging, or you're, hip and you know how to Google, most of the time kind of some of the basic steps, like you should have sex on cycle day 14, and you should like maybe talk to your doctor about Clomid. Like this stuff that people usually suggest, it's pretty basic information that you already know, and when I don't know, it just kind of, do you think I'm stupid and don't know that? Like, I don't know.
Right.
So it's much more helpful, I think, to just be like, I'm so sorry, or just to kind of just acknowledge it, and not necessarily completely avoid it and completely, don't talk anything about babies or anything like that, but without talking to me about it first. You know what I mean? Like, so if I'm friends with somebody and every time I'm around them, they don't talk about their kids, or they don't talk, because they don't want to hurt my feelings, it's just going to make me a little more self-conscious about it. Unless we've had that conversation and I've told you, like, this is just really touchy for me and I don't want to talk about pregnancy or whatever, and they're honoring your wishes, that's amazing, and what an amazing friend to do that. But like, I don't think you necessarily have to walk on eggshells around somebody, because it just makes them feel worse about it. But acknowledging
That's good to know. Yeah.
I don't know, that's just for me. I know that obviously there's some like hot button issues and topics, and baby showers are usually pretty sensitive, and pregnancy announcements, of course, are pretty sensitive, but I don't want to feel like the black sheep in the room, or I didn't want to feel like black sheep in the room just because I was going through fertility.
Yeah, I think that's a huge point, like that nobody around you, if they know, ignores it or acts like it's not happening, 'cause I think that's really hard.
Yeah.
But I kind of agree. I think that the best thing for me, like, would be for someone just to say, do you want to talk about it? I'm here for you. That's for me would be the hugest thing. Sometimes when you're going through these things, even though I didn't talk about it really much, I did speak about it a lot to the few people who did know. It was like when certain things were happening, I felt like I needed to kind of download what was going on, and so that the fact that they were there just to listen, and that was it, and then like you said, give a hug. But I think it's nice if you know someone just to say, do you want to talk about it, and I'm here for you, I care about you, and just let me know what you need, or something like that.
Yeah. And I think it's important. I know we're like running out of time, but like I think it's also important to realize that if you are diagnosed with an infertility condition, it doesn't necessarily just go away because you had a baby, and that if you want to grow your family and have a second or a third or a fourth, you're basically you end up starting back at square one, and you have to go through all those treatments all over again, and you have to struggle basically usually the second time just as hard as you did the first time. For me, it was harder.
Question about this then. When you're trying the second time, do people say things like, well, you already, and I don't know what, are they kind of snotty about it? You know what I mean? Like, do they say rude? I don't know. You know how people are.
Yeah. I got the whole, well, obviously you already have a baby, so you're not infertile anymore.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
That's not true.
That was sort of hard for me too, like, because it was the secondary infertility. The first time around, we got pregnant in 3 months, which I was shocked by, but I was like, okay, I guess we won't have problems. And the second time around, we had so much difficulty. I felt guilt when I would go into the clinic. It was hard because I was sitting there looking at the other women, and I already had a baby, and I felt like they were going to be like, well, you already have a child, it's not the same for you, or like you just said, Carla, like you don't have an infertility problem because it was secondary infertility, but it was painful. It was just as painful. Definitely had, like you were saying, Stacy, I was mourning every time I got the negative results, and remember standing in Kohl's, and my sister was there with me, and I got the news, and I just was crying in the clothing rack, just like totally like losing it because I got bad results on the phone. So it's really hard the second time or third time or whatever time it is. It's hard, I think, every time, just like you said, Carla.
Yeah.
But in the interest of time, I wanted to ask one last thing, which is that I wanted to ask about whether or not you feel like you're a helicopter parent after kind of going through some infertility, because I feel like I am sometimes. And I don't know whether Diana and Amy feel like they're not, or that has no impact whatsoever, like when you go through some of this stuff. Like, are you also a helicopter parent? Diana, let me ask you, are you a helicopter parent?
I think I qualify, yes, but that's just my general nature. I was also extremely worried the entire time I was pregnant, though. So that's just my general nature, to be worried about everything. And I have a child that jumps off of, she's like crazy. So you're constantly worried and have to kind of go behind it. I'm trying to break myself of it right now, actually. So maybe I should talk about that a little bit. But
That's a whole nother topic, you mean?
It's a whole nother topic. Yeah.
How about you, Carla? Do you hover? Or do you hover over your kids?
My husband would say yes, but I don't think I do. My kids are very independent and very adventurous, and they don't really allow me to be a helicopter mom. They're too fast. So I don't think I qualify.
How about you, Amy?
I'm not, no.
And Stacy? Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute, Stacy. There you go.
I know, here I am. For me, he's only 4 months old, so I'm not really sure. But I guess if you ask my husband, I do, because we trade off on, like, tonight will be his night to do the bath, but I'm still like in there supervising. So I guess I am.
Well, even at 4 months, you can know. Were you like hesitant to accept help from people, like right after the birth and stuff, or no?
Yeah, I was. At least, outside of just me and my husband. I had a C-section, so my husband did everything for the first few days, or for first week at least, with everything other than feeding. But yeah, I think I was. I didn't my husband's a youth pastor, so I didn't. When we go to church, of course, we were like, everyone came flooding towards us the first day I went to church, and I'm like, don't touch him. I just don't want anybody to be around him. So, and even now, I still have a hard time handing him to let random people hold him. I don't let that happen.
Well, I think that I sort of am. I don't know. I'm very I like to say involved. That's my term. I like to say, but I get kind of nervous about everything. So I don't know. But I see a lot of comments, so I don't know.
Yes, the blind Jen, she says, "I hope you go into labor tonight."
Oh gosh, I feel like I'm going to. I'm like really a mess. Contractions for 4 days in a row now. So nothing right now during the hangout though. I'm just like having a heat wave. So excuse me. All right, what else we got?
It just updated for me, so I have a whole list.
Okay. All right, let me go through. I see. It looks like Christina was here. So let's say hi to you. I didn't discover YouTube until after Ren was born either. I was really involved in the blogging community, but I would have appreciated this community so much through those 3.5 years of TTCing and the miscarriage with Ren. So that's Christina from Subfertile Frugalista. So yes.
My friend Laura is here, Loretta Bear. Oh, did I put it up?
Yep, Loretta Bear. You want me to read it?
Yeah.
Okay, I think the best thing to do is to ask the person struggling how you can best support them. It will be different for everyone, and the fact that you are taking the time to try to understand what is helpful will mean a lot. Sometimes just listening and letting them cry without trying to fix it is, and then I can't ever see the rest of it when I put
A big
up.
help.
So, a big help. Thank you so much, Amy. Okay, good. All right, and then see if there's any questions that we can see in here.
Here's one. Let me see if I can get it up. Pepper Ferguson said, do you ladies find that you are a little more hesitant about birth control, especially more permanent birth control after dealing with infertility? Good question. That's a good question.
Yeah, I didn't want to. My doctor's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, don't put me on any pill because I don't attribute it, but I just don't even want to chance it. So for me, I'm just like, nope. If I happen to get pregnant, yay.
Yeah, I was the same. I know I was talking about this before, I think in another hangout, but after we had the twins, they offered me to tie my tubes, to give me a tubal. They kept asking me, like in the delivery room even, which I don't know. Now they told me that you have to sign a consent like days before, so I don't know what the difference was, 3 years ago. But they kept saying, are you going to get the tubal? Do you want the tubal? Because I was having twins. I feel like they were like, well, you're having twins, you should be done. Like you had your twins, you should get the tubal. And I was like, no, I don't want the tubal. And I really didn't want it because after all the struggle, there's no way I was going to get that. It was just like not going to happen. So I definitely would say that, I was a lot more hesitant about birth control, and that, and anything like, in general just kind of made me feel kind of like after all that. How about you, Carla?
Yeah, I was definitely hesitant to get on birth control just because I was concerned about hormones. But that being said, I've had 2 C-sections now, so I was really scared about getting pregnant within like the first year following William's birth, just because I wanted to give my uterus plenty of time to heal. So I'm still not on birth control.
And then looks like Ashley B said, I made it for once. Yay. Glad you made it, Ashley. It's cool when there's different people here each time, so kind of like that. All right.
Here's someone who's struggling. Stay-at-home mom adventures 83. She said, I know the TTC issue all too well. For my first, we tried for 13 months, and this time we've been trying since October 2012 with no success with 4 rounds of Clomid.
Okay. We're thinking of you.
Yeah, that's tough.
Okay. All right. I think that is all that I can see. Anything else? I think Amber's family, said she made it. Hi, Amber's family. All right. Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys for being here and talking about this topic. I know sometimes some of these topics can be, hard to talk about, and I think it was a really good conversation, and I definitely think it's going to help a lot of people who are going through infertility or even with the feelings after it's over, which I think is a big deal, too, that isn't often talked about how you feel once you're through the journey a little bit, or once you do conceive and you have your baby there, those feelings afterwards, and how you are interacting then with other people can, be something that is hard. So I appreciate you guys being here and talking so openly, and I want to give you guys a chance to say again where we can find you. So Carla, where can everybody go to find you if they're looking for you? Do you have a blog, your YouTube channel?
I have a blog and YouTube and everything. Basically, everything is like Pinterest / theBubblelush, YouTube theBubblelush. Everything is theBubblelush, except for my website, which is bubblelush.com.
Instagram? Are you on Instagram?
I am on Instagram, theBubblelush.
What else is there? I'm trying to think of all the social media.
Yep, and also Carla also has 2 playlists on her channel, so those are really good if you're looking there for her 2 journeys for TTCing. So I thought that was great. I saw that on there. Yeah, so go there and you can see all of those videos with her entire journey. So how about you, Stacy? I guess just your channel. Where can people go to find you if they're looking to subscribe?
I'm just at youtube.com, thislovely, L-E-E, life. So, yeah, we're trying to do 2 videos a week right now. Mostly one on Tuesdays we do like a day in the life, and then on Thursdays I'm doing like a mommy time, so kind of video where I do updates and random mom stuff. So
4
yeah.
weeks in, you're doing amazing. Well,
Yeah.
here's a
Thank
comment for you, Stacy. My daughter's excited about the Miss Piggy and Kermit behind Stacy Lee. She's 2.5.
I am very ridiculous about Kermit and all things Muppets. I have been my entire life. I have like a box of Band-Aids that just has Kermit on.
That's very observant of the 2.5-year-old. I mean, I didn't even look up there.
I didn't see it either. That is observant.
I've been looking at the Harry Potter thing the whole time because I'm a huge Harry Potter fan.
I have a wand. My husband got me Ron Weasley's wand.
Awesome.
Well, Stacy, I love your channel art too. I don't know if you're a graphic designer or not, but it's really good for just being on YouTube for 4 weeks. I was really liking your artwork.
Yeah, I'm a photographer, and then I also do a lot of I'm like a DIY graphic artist for our church and our youth group and stuff. So yeah.
Well, it's beautiful. Love it. All right, and Diana, where can everybody go to find you?
I am at youtube.com/beingmommywithstyle, and also I talk about fashion and video over at youtube.com/bagsforbubbles.
Okay. And Amy?
And just like Carla, I am Dreamflight6000 on every Instagram, you name it, I'm on it.
Good. And I am Dana, and my channel is Miss Diaper D, and you can find me at diaperdirt.com, or you can listen to me on the Diaper Dirt podcast. And so if you're listening to this on iTunes or Stitcher, don't forget to subscribe and go and leave us a review on iTunes. Those reviews help other people to find us here and also help to encourage us to continue posting this as a podcast. So you can check out the channel if you go to YTMM.tv. So thank you guys so much all for being here in the comments as always. And if you are interested in being a guest on the Hangout with us, you can go and find us on Facebook. Our Facebook group name is YouTube Mommy Meetup, and the links are, of course, down below in the description box for everybody's channel, and also to go find us there on Facebook. So come and join us. It's a good time there. So it's always really active. I can't believe how fast the news feed goes there. I'm always like trying to keep up with everything. So, all right, guys, talk to you later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.